So I'll just wait for this to show up on my stream. Okay, so it looks like we're up and running. I did try this before, but I don't think it actually saved, so I thought that I'd redo it because it hasn't saved on my timeline, so I think I've worked it out now. I'll just bring up my chat. I'll just say hi so that we can see if you're there. So we'll see if anyone is actually watching. So what I want to talk to today is about choosing your style for photographers. I did discuss yesterday that it was really important if you were doing training that you'd choose a photographer that had your style. So I thought that I'd talk to you about that today. And then I'll also show you what my style is, and I'll sort of discuss the way that I shoot so that you can see my style, which hopefully that you'll like. But remember, everyone is different, so it just depends really on what you want to choose. But you shouldn't try and force your style. It should come naturally to you. So I thought we'd have a look at that. Just let me check this site here, just to make sure that it's all working okay. It seems to be. Yep. So if you are watching, give me a little message over the side just so I can see who you are. It'd be great to know where you're actually watching from. I know it's late overseas, but it's around about 12:23 here in Australia. Because if you have any questions, please put them in and I'll try and answer them as we go along. So basically my style tends to be a little bit dark, and I've always been that way, and I'll show you those images shortly so that you can see what I mean by when I say dark. But it does have a sort of mystical type look about it, I think, anyway, and it's one that I use, and I even use it in weddings. So the thing that you've got to remember is that your style is what the people see out there. So I hope that when people look at my work, they can see that it is my style. And basically what we'll do is I'll show you that. And when they've hired me, they already know what I'm going to be producing. So it's not like I'm going to change my style. That's where it can be an issue if you don't have a consistent style, because they may hire you that way and then it can change as you're going along. So let me just drag this over here. And I'll open Lightroom up so that you can see what I'm talking about. So I'll just click on the desktop so we can have a look there. Okay, so if we look at it, I'll just make sure that that does update, which it should do in a second, I think. Yeah, there we go. The stream's just a little bit behind what I'm actually doing. Now I'll open up the comments box just in case if someone wants to send me a comment. I'll just drag this over here so that I can see it. All right, so what we'll do, I'll look at in a Lightroom here, and I can show you some of the images. So basically, if we're looking at it, if I go full screen, I'll show you what I'm talking about when I'm talking about dark. You can see here that if we look, and I hope you can see the cursor there, but if you look, this was taken at actually a fairly bright condition, so I had to really overpower the sun here when I was actually shooting. So basically, if you look, what I've done is I had a ProPhoto, that's the flash unit that I use, and I had a ProPhoto flash unit that was sort of sitting around about here. Now I've had to retouch that out obviously, but I had to try and overpower the sun, so you can see where the light is hitting her face and hitting her body through here. So I underexposed this one by quite a bit, and then I got the light that was coming onto her face from the ProPhoto light that I used. That way I got this real stormy, dark type look that came through. So that's how I do that. So I knew that I wanted to make this look darker, so I deliberately underexposed it, knowing that I could bring back those areas in post. So I'll just quit that and I'll show you the next image that you can see another one. Again, you can see here that I've got the flash unit that was again sitting around about here, shining straight onto her face to give her a bit of a kick. This was a bit later in the day because the sun's actually come out, sun's setting I should say. But it does give her that beautiful light that I look. And this is typical of the style that I love to produce, which is that really dark type look. It's a bit mystical, but it's you know, it's what I love to actually shoot. So we'll look at a couple of others and we'll see. So let's go down and look at these ones. These ones here, again, you can see that it's a fairly dark look. The light is coming from this area over here. So you can see that there's quite a light in that. I know I exposed for that because I didn't want to blow out the highlights, and you can see it gives this beautiful rim lighting that comes around her, these fake antlers that she's got, and you can see that it comes down here. Now that's really important because it separates her from the background. If I didn't have that, she'd be lost into this background, so you need that separation that you can actually get from there, which you know, gives a lifting from the background. The important thing to think about when you are doing these dark images, I hope you can see it on YouTube, you may not, but there is still detail in the shadows. So even though it's fairly dark, there is still detail that's actually in there, and I haven't blown out the highlights. That's why it's always better to underexpose a little bit, and I can bring the shadows out. That's why if you have a camera that has high dynamic range, it's really good because it gives you that ability to do that. We'll look at another one. You can see here, this one's not so dark, but it is still a little bit mystical looking. There's still a little bit of a backlight here, so you're getting that separation on these antlers coming through. It's nice and soft, this one that I went for, but there's still detail that you can sort of see in the shadows, which looks, I think, really pretty. What else? We'll go to this one. Again, you can see this is really quite dark, but again, there's just a little kick in these areas that separates the background away there. So, and I've lit this up with the ProPhoto unit just so that she's got enough light on her face, which gives that nice look, I think. You've got to try and balance the background and your flash exposure so it doesn't look fake. And that's the hard part about doing it. So you have to learn how to use the off-camera flash effectively. If I use too much flash in these images, well, it would look false or fake, which I didn't want. So there is just a beautiful light that's coming through here. The flash unit was sort of over towards the basket there. It was through a softbox, and it was nice and close so that it gave her that nice lighting through her face. I don't always do dark images. I mean, you can see here that this was a snow one that I just did recently. But again, it does sort of have a little bit of contrast with the hair as against the, you know, the background image. But you can see that the face is lit up really nicely with the eyes, etc. Yeah, so again, it's sort of typical of my style. Now, Cyber Commando has asked, "Hi David, can I ask what your thoughts of the 18-105 f4 lens for APS-C cameras?" Yeah, no worries. I actually use that all the time. When I'm doing my Fusion videos, I'm using that on the A6300. I love the 18-105. It's got a great range, and if you use the zoom feature inside it, you're getting around about 200 millimeters. The f4 doesn't bother me at all. And the stabilization on that lens is great. If you look at a lot of my wedding images on my channel, the videos that you'll see on the channel when I do my wedding videos, they're shot with that 18-105. So I love it. So yeah, Cyber Commando, it's great. If you haven't got it, I'd go for it. It's a great lens, and I use that all the time now on my video work. So we'll look at another one. Look at this one. Again, this was a black and white one that I did in the snow. Again, it has got a reasonably dark look about it. So there's a fair range between the blacks and the highlight area in her face. Again, you've got to be careful that you don't blow out those highlight areas. I'm usually exposing for the highlights. So when I am exposing, I'm actually exposing for the highlights, and I know with my camera that I can bring that back out. It's more important for me to make sure I'm not blowing the highlights, especially with things like wedding dresses and things like that. These were ones that I did for a Game of Thrones look. Cyber Commander said, fantastic, thanks. I'm looking at getting it for with the A6-300 instead of the kit lens. Yeah, that's great, mate. Look, if I would definitely go for the 18-105 instead of the kit lens, definitely. It's a really, really good lens, and I'm really, really happy that I bought it. And I also use it on my the A7R II as well in Super 35 mode. It's a great lens because the reach is so good. It's wide. And it also can give you that long, and the actual stabilisation is great. And for the A6-300, you need the stabilisation on your lens. So yeah, I hope that answers that question. This was another one that I did in the snow. It was a Game of Thrones type shoot, and you can actually see these shoots if you look through my YouTube channel. You'll see the original ones. This has had quite a bit of editing, but again, I've got that quite dark look about it, which again is what I love. Now remember, my clients hire me knowing that they're going to get this, so it's not like I'm coming out of the blue and giving them this. They see these images. Anything that's on Facebook for me is retouched to this extent, so they know what they're getting when they hire me. This was another one that I did as well. Again, I've exposed for the highlights and brought the shadows up, so it gives you an idea about that style. This was another one that we did on the day as well. Again, this was quite bright and I had to underexpose it. And I've got a Profoto flash unit over here on the left hand side, which is lining up just her face, and it gives it that really beautiful quality. It was through I think it was a 2-foot Octa. Again, you can see this shoot if you look at my Facebook page as well. Again, it's that really dark type look that I love. What else will we look at? These were wedding shoots. This was for a bridal gown company, so it wasn't a real wedding in this case, but I wanted this look against this forest. Again, I've exposed for the highlights down here, and just made sure that I kept enough detail in the shadows as well. I'm really happy with how that came up. I think there's another one here. This was for the same company, so this was a bridal one as well, but they were trying to advertise for these dresses. This was a single shot, so it's not a composite shot. It was a slow shutter speed, and I've used the flash to hold them so that they're sharp. I asked them not to move. The camera was on a tripod, and I wanted to get that really soft look in the waterfall as well. And I'm really happy of how this turned out. Obviously, they had to stay quite still. We'll look at this one too. So again, this is the two girls. I wanted to show the headpieces here. These are beautiful headpieces from a local florist here, so I wanted to give them a bit of advertising as well. It was lit quite close from the front, so you can see that in their eyes. Again, it's beautiful, soft lighting. This is another one where I've exposed basically to make sure that I keep all the detail in the flowers. But you can see I have a similar style every single time that I'm shooting. So if anyone looks at my work, I hope that they can see and think, well, yes, that is David from Osler Images. I know his style, and the client knows exactly what they're going to get. Yeah, so I just thought that I'd sort of discuss those with you. Let me just switch back to the full window. So basically, that's what I like to do. And you can see that I've built my style over a period of time, and it's a style that I love and I adore working that way. So I'm producing something that I love to actually do, and I think that's one of the secrets in photography. You can't try and please everyone. You really have to please yourself, and if you're pleasing yourself, you will please your clients, and that's a really important thing to do. And I think if you do that, the work will follow anyway. So what I'm trying to say is it's much better to try and work out what your style is and then pursue that area. So if you are trying to do courses and things like that with a photographer or a workshop, make sure that those make sure that photographer does have a similar style to what you have, and that way you can expand on that and concentrate on developing that style. Yeah, which is good. So yeah, we've got 4 watching. So yeah, any questions, guys, you'd like to ask anyone else that's watching at the moment? I think style's really, really important. So, you know, you really do want to make sure that you develop that, and hopefully it's something that, you know, you can work on yourself, and you'll get a look that is different to what everyone else is or has. The problem is at the moment there's so many photographers out there. If you don't try and develop a personal style, then there's nothing to differentiate yourself against others. And I think that's what I do. I know my work is different. Like I said, it's quite dark, and it comes from a fashion background, which is where I shot years ago. I was a fashion photographer. So it does make a big difference, I think, in the people that hire me. Yeah, so, well, if there's no more questions, we might leave it there. I'm going to add these over the next few weeks. I'm going to start showing tutorials using Photoshop and Lightroom and my workflow, and I'll talk about my business and sort of help people grow that way, and I hope that we can all do that together. So if there's no more questions, guys, I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.